चाहिए।
शाम भी खूब है पास महबूब है, आशिकी के लिए और क्या चाहिए।
शाम भी खूब है पास महबूब है, चांद की चांदनी आसमां की परी, शायरों के लिए तू है एक शायरी। हाँ देखते तुझे दिल दीवाना हुआ, चाहतों का शुरू एक फसाना हुआ। है पास महबूब है। हुस्न है प्यार है दिल है दिलदार है, हुस्न है प्यार है दिल है दिलदार है।
बोलती है नजर चुप है मेरी जुबान, हर किसी से जुदा है मेरी दास्तां, ना किसी से कभी प्यार मैंने किया, दर्द दिल ना कभी यार मैंने लिया।
साज है गीत है सुर है संगीत है, साज है गीत है सुर है संगीत है,
शाम भी खूब है पास
जाए, मिलने से डरता है दिल इकरार हो न जाए। ना मिलो ना मिलो ना मिलो हमसे ज्यादा, कहीं प्यार हो न जाए, कहीं प्यार हो न जाए, कहीं प्यार हो न जाए। सनम चाहत की राहों में है दर्द गम,
कितनी पास है फिर भी दूर है,
दोनों इश्क में क्यों मजबूर है।
नजरों का तीर दिल के कहीं पार हो न जाए, ना मिलो
प्यार हो न जाए,
कहीं प्यार हो न जाए।
दीवाना कर देना दीवानापन कहते हैं, इश्क पे नाज़ोर सनम।
जाने मन जाने जा ये दिल लगी, देखो न बन जाए दिल की लगी।
वो कैसा दर्द है कैसा हाल है,
अब ना होश है अब ना ख्याल है,
हो कहीं जीना मरना भी दुश्वार हो न जाए। ना मिलो ना मिलो ना मिलो हमसे ज्यादा, कहीं प्यार हो न जाए,
कहीं प्यार हो न जाए,
कहीं प्यार हो न जाए।
मिलने से डरता है दिल इकरार हो न जाए,
ना मिलो हमसे ज्यादा, कहीं प्यार हो न जाए,
कहीं प्यार हो न जाए,
कहीं प्यार हो न जाए।
करे तुझको भी प्यार हो जाए, रब करे तुझको भी प्यार हो जाए। करे तुझको भी प्यार हो जाए, रब करे तुझको भी प्यार हो जाए।
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update from Tips Official.
La 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 la।
सर की जो सर से वो धीरे धीरे पागल हुआ रे मैं धीरे धीरे, तेरी चुनरिया दिल ले गई। सर की जो सर से वो धीरे धीरे पागल हुआ रे मैं धीरे धीरे, सर की जो सर से वो धीरे धीरे पागल हुआ रे मैं धीरे धीरे, तेरी चुनरिया दिल ले गई, तेरी ये बिंदिया दिल ले गई। से वो धीरे धीरे पागल हुआ रे मैं धीरे धीरे सर की जो सर से वो धीरे धीरे पागल हुआ रे मैं धीरे धीरे तेरी चुनरिया दिल ले गई तेरी ये बिंदिया दिल ले गई जाना है होता क्यों दिल ये दीवाना है तय कर लिया तुम्हें पाना है क्या प्यार है ये दिखाना है
मेरे भोले सनम मेरे प्यारे सनम दीवाने सनम अनजाने सनम बोले मेरा कंगना धीरे धीरे बोले मेरी पायल धीरे धीरे
बोले तेरा कंगना धीरे धीरे बोले तेरी पायल धीरे धीरे तेरी चुनरिया दिल ले गई तेरी ये बिंदिया दिल ले गई तेरा मेरा जन्मों का नाता है यूं ही नहीं दिल लुभाता है रिश्ते ये रब ही बनाता है करके बहाने मिलाता है
मेरी यादों में तुम मेरी बातों में तुम मेरी सांसों में तुम मेरी राहों में तुम बोले मेरी धड़कन धीरे धीरे बोले मेरी तड़पन धीरे धीरे
ओ बोले मेरी धड़कन धीरे धीरे बोले मेरी तड़पन धीरे धीरे तेरी चुनरिया दिल ले गई तेरी ये बिंदिया दिल ले गई सर की जो सर से वो धीरे धीरे पागल हुआ रे मैं धीरे धीरे सर की जो सर से वो धीरे धीरे पागल हुआ रे मैं धीरे धीरे तेरी चुनरिया दिल ले गई तेरी ये बिंदिया दिल ले गई सर की जो सर से वो धीरे धीरे पागल हुआ रे मैं धीरे धीरे तेरी चुनरिया दिल ले गई तेरी ये बिंदिया दिल ले गई
तूने सपना को हाथ लगाया, हमारी इज्जत पे हाथ डाला।
मामा ठाकुर,
हम एक दूसरे से प्यार करते हैं।
जबान खींच लूंगा तेरी।
मामा जी,
अपना ये डंडा संभाल के रखिए, कोई झंडा लहराने के काम आएगा। हम आज आपके सामने अपने प्यार का ऐलान करते हैं।
हम बता देंगे तुम्हें कितना प्यार करते हैं सनम। मौका मिलेगा तो हम बता देंगे तुम्हें कितना प्यार करते हैं सनम। दिल अपना चीर के हम दिखा देंगे तुम्हें कितना प्यार करते हैं सनम। मौका मिलेगा तो हम बता देंगे तुम्हें कितना प्यार करते हैं सनम। वफा पे तू कर ले यकीन, आपास जाने बहार। ओ वादे वफा पे तू कर ले यकीन, आपास जाने बहार। सच्ची मोहब्बत उसी को कहें माने कभी जो नहार। आ मेरी बाहों में दिल की पनाहों में कह दे जो है कहना। तेरे बड़े चाहने वाले आशिक ऐसा कहाँ। होंगे तेरे बड़े चाहने वाले आशिक ऐसा कहाँ।
इश्क की बाजी न हारेंगे ऐसे देंगे सनम इम्तिहान। हम तो दीवाने हैं हमको जमाने से और नहीं डरना।
मौका मिलेगा तो हम बता देंगे तुम्हें कितना प्यार करते हैं सनम।
दिल अपना चीर के हम दिखा देंगे तुम्हें कितना प्यार करते हैं सनम।
मौका मिलेगा तो हम बता देंगे
तुम्हें कितना प्यार
तुझे कितना प्यार करते हैं सनम।
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi. Today, I'm really excited because we have two very special guests on our show. Before we begin, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, iHeartRadio and Speaker, and the YouTube team for sponsoring this show and making it happen today. Now, today we have two wonderful guests. We have Sky and we have Tony, and they have a company called Tea Life, and it's an amazing organization, a company that they have that they help others with. And they want to talk about self-actualization and how it relates to you as a person and how it could help you in many ways in your life. And I just want to, tell you to put your ears on, listen carefully, because they have some amazing advice and tips and tools to help you grow as your overall person and reach your overall potential in life. Now, I want to just, let everyone to learn a little about the two of you. So, Tony, do you want to start off by telling us a little about yourself and what you do?
All right, thank you, Stacey. Yeah, so we're a mentorship practice that's based in self-actualization. We help our clients understand past behaviors that kind of permeate and exist in their present day life, right? And those present day behaviors, they really stem from where you come from. And my wife and I, we go on a journey with you to explore that self and discover self-actualization.
And tell us a little about yourself, Sky.
Yeah, this is a process that we've been through together. And so when we speak about self-actualizing and we speak about mentorship, we're talking about the ways that we've had to navigate our own life and our own issues and our own marriage and our own past and how we've come together through that. So we like to speak and practice from an angle of inclusion, not sitting behind a desk or anything like that, but really walking with our clients in their lives, showing them our lives, and making sure that it's a reciprocal relationship so that we're all learning from each other and supporting each other in the process of that personal growth.
I love it. Now, what made you come up with Tea Life? Was there a story behind it, a passion that really, ignited you to want to create Tea Life?
Yeah, it was the passing of my mother, Patricia. She was integral in my growth as a man. In her passing, I got to see a lot of the truths about my beginning, myself, my father, me, her, and it helped me really galvanize my sense of self and discover my true essence, right? And so that created our time together, our friendship really gave me the ability to speak firmly to our clients and women, more in particular, is who we work with. And just that our existence is just amazing. With just the our friendship and the time we had together. So, and it really helped my wife as well, and her nurturing as my wife and her growth.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us more about the origins and principles of actualizing therapy and how it differs from traditional therapeutic approaches?
Yeah, actualizing therapy is traditional because we go into your life modeling 3D. So the concept of self is a three-pronged concept, right? There's you, and then there's your parental figures. And so what we're trying to, and whatever that's comprised of, sometimes it's aunts, it's uncles, and how that it goes. What we're trying to do is get you to actually look at that from a schematic standpoint and the behaviors in which the individual behaviors in which you don't see, right? So the dark, the deep, the negativity, because negative outweighs the positive most of the time. And so if we can look at those negative behaviors that you see that you want to kind of like put into your subconscious, and we want to bring them to your conscious mind so you can know that they're permeating your behavior. But in the beginning, it starts with trust. We don't want to just say, believe us, right? We want to establish trust with you. And that starts with our questions, with your questions, with our communication style, feeling us, being in a room, a phone call. And if you're willing to move forward with what you see in our diagnosis, not diagnosis, but our evaluation of who you are, come work with us and join and go on a journey of self-actualization.
Yeah, I mean, and it's sort of like formally, actualizing therapy is a science that was developed here in San Diego in the 70s, and it was researched and developed by Dr. Everett Sjostrom. But in its practical application, actualizing therapy is really a means of sort of better understanding the
gaps in nurturing.
the nurturing gaps that we've all experienced, and starting from a position of understanding what those are, really looking into what we would call your source programming is, and then seeing how that impacts your behaviors in your day-to-day existence, right? And that's how this would differ from traditional therapy, is that we're not sitting behind a desk. We're walking. We want to see you with your people, your problem people, your good people, and see how your behaviors that come from that source programming are not benefiting you fully in the way you want to reach your full potential. To do that, you got to really look at those, and you got to be honest with yourself about what those are. And it's great to have a team that can triangulate that and walk with you through the process, so that you eventually find yourself in that position of being the fullest version of yourself. And it's never about reaching perfection or reaching anybody else's standard. It's reaching that place in yourself, that core where you feel good about who you are, and you can stand strong in facing the challenges that are inevitably going to come your way.
We're also trying to decrease what's called manipulations, right? We don't want those manipulations to run your life. If there's things about you don't like, then what we normally do is we manipulate our friends, or in the way we want them to see us. And we want to decrease that manipulation and make it more authentic, so you're living the same way, or expressing the same way you are at home with your friends and family, and your coworkers and whoever else is in your life.
And we've talked about this a little bit, Stacey, but yeah, there are those manipulations that come from that source programming from your parents, as well intentioned or whoever raised as they may be. But there's also a lot of scar tissue masking that are built up in those core relationships, be they with your family or your friends, right? So we would call ourselves friends with purpose, right?
Definitely.
The friend that's able to really be honest with you without all that kind of precedent and established habits and manipulations, and illustrate your life in a way that maybe you haven't seen it before. Look at it from a different perspective.
I love that. Now, how does actualizing therapy help individuals in their journey towards self-actualization or fulfillment?
Well, it's actualizing therapy itself is gonna help us pinpoint. So we're gonna use it as a rubric to say, okay, it has different stages of development, right? And so in these stages of development, if we went through traditional and read through the book, you see 0 to 6, 12 to 21, and different ages that you'll see that you should be what you should be getting from your parenting. And if we go into your past and we read through this and we see, okay, what was your life like? And you can kind of see some of those gaps and say, okay, from this, if you feel like you weren't getting these key characteristics of nurturing, then maybe these are some of the behaviors that are showing up right now that we see, right?
Right.
And these behaviors that you see that are right now in your present day, that's the way the world views you, right? And that's the only way we can really change the future, is to examine that past and how those behaviors really spill off into your life presently, and then to, like, in an honest way. That's why trust is so important, and in an honest way, really walk in different situations. We're not every day with you, but there are situations where performatively you want self-efficacy, right? If it's a date, if it's a job interview, if it's being at your job. We work corporately where we're seeing individuals struggle with their managing their team. And a lot of that issue with management came from the way they were raised, that really permeated, that really kept trickling down into life. And now it's in your management style. It's in your parenting style. It's in your relationship style. And so those things really break down you over time.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now, do you believe that the combination of therapy and mentorship accelerates the path to self-actualization?
I would say so. I think, therapy is a really important tool, and it's particularly important for that initial awareness and understanding piece. So really delving into your past and starting to examine those relationships. But we work with therapists, and one of the biggest frustrations that they would express in therapy is the inability to you can say the things in the room, and you could be so confident in that room that you're gonna slay that narcissist as soon as you get home, right? And then you go back into the reward, and you go back to your existing interdependence with that person, and walking the walk is harder than talking the talk. And so
especially for women, right? And especially
right.
in the way that you were formed. I mean, your father is your first male in your life, and that existence sometimes isn't always um, depicted in a fair way for you to understand. And so if that depiction isn't true, then when you go into your life, you look for something that doesn't necessarily behoove you, and you struggle, and you tend to struggle in that. It's
Right.
vice versa as well, and it's one of those things that we want to we want honesty, and we want to be honest with you to see what do you feel? How do you really feel? It's not to say that your parents are bad people, but what
Right.
did you experience with your pop? What did you experience with your mom, right? And how did you feel? And when we talk about that, then we can start attaching that to maybe these are some of the things you either got or didn't get, right? And we can see how that works.
And you're your own unique person, right? So even if your source programming, your parents or whoever it was, gave you the best tools and systems that they could figure out to give you, right? You're your own person, and your life is going to be different than that. And what
Mhm.
happens to people generally, our clients and people in general, when they leave that initial system, whenever that is, when you go to college or you hit your 20s, or you
First
step
job.
out into the independent phase of your life, you're trying to use those tools, and a lot of times they don't really work. And so for a variety of reasons. And so having the ability to like go in and explore what you were given and understand how it's working and how it's not working, and how you would want to adjust that learning, that initial learning, so that it really does benefit you and who you actually want to be. That's really powerful.
Really, Stacy, what we really try to get our clients between 22 to 28, because you're right now you're in the crux of your life where you're fresh out of the house. You're trying to apply these learnings, these skills that you got from your mom and dad. But if they don't work, now you have the ability to go right back to them and say, hey, look, why didn't this work? Why didn't this, or this work, this here? And now you can, if it's love still there, and some of it's going to be an embarrassing conversation or a hard conversation because of the ego. But you have the ability because you're not so far away from it. When we get older, we get more rigid. When we get
Yes.
40 and 50 and 60, we're like, I don't. What's the point of that, right? But it's really important,
The tools and the behaviors are so entrenched in that
right?
point. It becomes harder and harder to step away from them and learn
Right.
something new,
But
right?
you still can, as the scientific world says, you still can neuroplasticity. You still can change your mind. You still can change your brain.
I find sometimes I think about it, and you find a lot of people, they find a partner who is similar to, let's say, for me, I find a partner that's similar to my father's qualities, and subconsciously not even realizing it. Or a girl will look for qualities of her father. I mean, like for vice versa. So a man will look for qualities like his mother, good or bad, and not even know it subconsciously. And they pick people, who they grew up with in their environment with the same characteristics and qualities, and that could work for you or that could work against you if you don't realize when you're younger or when you're in that age group that, hey, certain qualities are not good and I don't want to repeat that behavior again.
Especially if
Yeah.
you look at, okay, this quality that you like, did you handle that well with your father when he was either aggressive or meek or whatever he was? Did you handle that appropriately for your self-efficacy? Because at the end of the day, what this is all about is self-efficacy. And that's what really prevents people from growing to the higher self. I don't know if I'm gonna respond well in this situation, and I don't wanna feel that sense of failure. And so
Right.
we deviate, we only then you end up practicing what you're good at. And what we're saying is practice what you're bad at, right? And that's how you raise the floor and your ceiling.
Right. Very true. So true. Now, can you share a specific example or a case study where actualizing therapy has led to significant personal growth or fulfillment for a client?
Yeah, when we work corporately, we worked for about a year with a client, and it was based off it was performative based, right? She wanted to understand how could she get to the next level in this glass ceiling that was stopping her corporately from getting up there, right? And she was amazing. She's amazing at her job. But at some point, that's just the education of the job. What gets you to the next level is yourself and that concept of self and how you behave with other individuals, right? And so
And it becomes less about task and more about self, right? Like, do you have those soft skills, the communication and the confidence? And that's what she needed us to work with,
Right.
and that's what we worked on.
And so what we did is we learned her job first. Well, we learned herself. We learned her first. Simultaneously learned her job, so we can understand how whoever she is, how work interacts with that, and how it prevents her from her growth and her ability to transition up the ladder, right? And a lot of that was lessons she learned from her mother of being a people pleaser, right? And so you get to this point where you're a manager. But you can't please people, everyone. You have to have an ability to intuit and to discern when you need to say something that needs to get done, or the other way where you can people please, right? But her default behavior was people pleasing, and we had to point that out and say, okay, when we get in these meetings and you're in front of your clientele or your staff, you need to know when you're just turning to this behavior and you're defaulting that because you're trying to control or seek security. And that's something that we worked on with her time and time again. It's not easy. It's one of our favorite aspects of our practice is incorporating the AA model, or what we call being your caddy. You know, we walk along with you, and you're gonna miss a shot. You're gonna hit something crazy, all right? We walk to that next placement, and we breathe and we grow again from there. And over time, those failures don't feel like failures because you have community with you, but you're also learning. And so now you're replacing those failures with positivity and learning. And so now before you look around, it's you just doing it. And that's kind of what we did with our corporately with many clients. And it was
really rewarding. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And end of the story, end of the day, she got the promotion she so rightly deserved, and moved on to bigger and better things.
Right.
And so and that's everything from behavior change, which is a hard thing to do over time, and just really like specific individualized tactics that we found worked for her in particular, right? Like, I remember one of the things you tell us, don't, you know, when you're on a meeting with somebody, don't default to nodding so much, right? Like that's a tool of people please, right? Or things like that, right? Specific tactics that apply to the individual, so that, okay, now I'm conscious of this. Now I can start to address this next time I go into a meeting. And as Tony said, before you know it, you're building confidence in that. Oh, people are responding to me differently. I feel better about the way people are responding to me too.
Right.
And then it's a process of gradual growth.
It was a field where honestly the women were the brightest, but the men ruled the day, right? And so then her biggest issue was really her behavior and her existence with her father. And she ran into a lot of men that had her father's tendencies. And so when she got to the big meeting with someone with her father's tendencies, people pleasing came out. And we were like, hey, you want them to believe in you? You want them to know that you can do what's after this? Then you have to find your ability to cope and to manage that stress and that anxiety.
I like that. No, you know, a lot of times if you practice breaking bad habits and you practice certain strategies and tools that will enhance your overall, you know, personality, it becomes so natural after a while that you don't even realize that you're doing it. After you start to practice it, you're actually incorporating all these good habits and tools and strategies, and it's become a norm. It's like you're not even thinking about it because now it's become a part of you, and you have
to do it with I just want to always emphasize what made my mom amazing was her nurturing. So anything I went through was done with love. And so when you can do this together, any failure doesn't seem frightening because you're doing it with a backing of love, right? And so that's kind of what we bring in this. It's a lot of that, okay, wow, you really messed that up, but we can laugh about it a little bit and we're gonna get back to it. Don't let it get you down. You know, and that's really what is a human experience, right? You should be getting that from your mom, your dad, your partner, your brother. But a lot of times that our existence in our lives doesn't allow for that. And so come find two people who will do that for you, right? And really grow yourself and see where you get.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now, how does actualizing therapy incorporate in past experiences and future aspirations while focusing on the moment to moment growth?
It's as you say, Stacey, it's all three of those, right? Like they're all three of those past, present, and future potential. They're all bound into who we are as a person, right? So as we've kind of talked about, right, the initial stages or therapeutic stages are really that looking into the past, right? And we would call it often what needs to happen is what we would call like a dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to scrape those systems that have been given to you by the people, generally speaking, that you love, who've given so much to you. So there's that element of it, and there's the element that's so important of accountability. Are
Yeah.
you willing and able to hear these things about yourself and see these things about yourself and want to work on them? A lot of
Ego.
times we think we do and we are, and it's usually harder than we think to knock down that ego, and it takes some losses, some L's to get there. And so that's how you start. And then once you've come to that awareness and understanding of your source, you can
Yeah.
move to present day and you can look at really how they impact your behaviors and your, as we were just kind of talking about, your behaviors are like your instincts, and sometimes you got to retrain them, sometimes you got to tweak them to make them work for you. And then in that, you find the ability to reach your future truest potential. And
Right.
so it's we really work in the moment to moment in those behaviors, right? Where, as we said, we're like walking with you, talking about not like really granular things, but that's what it takes to change behaviors. You've got to do it
We
with
have
that level of detail.
we have phases. So we have clients who are in the trust phase where we're giving you all of us and you're giving all of you, and we're really just finding out each other, right? Because I don't want any client to come to us and just give us respect
Right.
on we want to earn it, because when we get to the next phase, it's going to get real rigorous, because it's going to be a lot of like of dark shadow work, right? And so you need to know that we're not going to leave you in that. Uh,
Yeah.
so so those are the phases in which we work at T Life. It's the past. Okay, here's mom, here's dad, here's aunt, here's uncle, here's grandma, here's grandpa. Here's your culture,
Mm.
right? And so let's break down the ego in that and look at that in a real way,
Mhm.
in a responsible way, and see how that attaches to your present. And now here we go. And now let's see what we can create as a system.
Right.
And I think it's important to note too, and this is something, the therapists struggle with is the triangulation is so important because people often have a self-perception that may not be the way other people are receiving them. That happens a lot, right? Where you're not really taking in yourself, or you think that people think about you differently than they may actually, and they're responding differently than you would like or than you would think. And so having some
To incorporate, and it takes time. And then when you deal with the repressed emotions, the things that happen along the way that you might not even realize, it could be very painful, and then when you realize things about other loved ones that were a part of your life too that you didn't even know, there's a lot of realizations, a lot of things that you come across, and it's hard, it's painful, a lot of these things. But once you overcome that pain and
Mhm.
you go, over the hill, that's when you really see the rainbow. And once you reach that rainbow, to me, it's like a whole new life. Well, it's like you've been rebirthed again, because it's like you have this whole new life, this whole new person inside you, and you're looking at life from a whole different perspective, and people notice it too.
It's
Not
the
everyone's
single
gonna
most
like it.
important thing you can do in your life, in my perspective, is what I call breaking down your heroes. And
Yeah.
and and it's you love them. You know you got the love for them, but do an honest assessment of them, because it really will allow you to expand. But I just
Yeah.
think to do it in a healthy and an efficient and an honest way sometimes needs to be done with illustrators, because your ego gets in the way. And you don't know what you need to throw out versus what you need to keep sometimes, right? And so but I agree with you that breaking down of the heroes is the thing I believe is the single most important thing you can do to yourself as an individual, because it gives you the ability to breathe and to believe in yourself.
Yes, 100%. Now, can you tell everybody about the services that you provide?
Grief. We do grief counseling. We do marital. We do single. We have everything under the sun of mental health, but the focus is self-actualization. So that's the grand scheme. But in that, we'll work corporately with you with your profession. We'll work with a partner or a spouse, and we'll do all those things. But there's a focus on accountability, who you are in that, right? And not anything that's kind of safe and nice, because nothing good comes easy. You have to work a little hard.
Oh yeah,
People
100%.
always ask us, do you work with people who are neurodivergent? And the answer is
All the
absolutely.
time.
Do we work remotely? Absolutely. We're blessed to live in sunny San Diego, but we work all over.
Yep.
And so really it's about personal need, and it's about us working with you to assess on an individual level what those needs are, and then using the science and the practice to get an individual where they want.
And you as a client knowing what you want to get done, right? That's what are you trying to get done here? And then there becomes a point of how do you want to fit us in your life that's tucked away? Because we're gonna find it out, but we need to know how you want to fit us and what do you want to get done. And from there we got you. But it's you really need to know those things about yourself. What are you trying to get done so we can have a road?
Right. I like that a lot. Now, where can people find you? Your website again, is that the main place where people can find you?
Actualizingtherapy.com. That's our main way. You can fill out. We have questions on our. If you say, okay, let's do it. You're gonna go to the second page and they're gonna have questions that you can answer. And that's how we start with you. We start by that's the beginning of where do you see it all going wrong or all going well or whatever you feel. Answer one of those. Illustrate to us what you think. And right. And so in that we'll get to see so many things. That's why we call ourselves illustrators. It's about helping you see, helping you. Your life is a book, and you need to see things to help you read it a little bit better and understand it a little bit better. And so we get to see from your response exactly where you feel like the pain lies, and it's typically between mom or pop. And then when we kind of like see, and then when we get on the phone with you, we discover and we start to establish trust. See if we can really go there with you, right? And if you really want us there, because if we're not the people who needs to be there, then tell us to go away, and we will. None of that is as well before any sort of discussion of compensation. We do all that for free.
Yeah, the six questions on our site are tough questions, but they're really interesting questions, even just to ponder. So I highly recommend people take a look and as you know, Stacey, from this conversation, we share openly about our life, and so we ask people to start by sharing a little bit about themselves. And so anybody who goes to our website of actualizingtherapy.com and answers one of those questions, we'll reach out and we'll do a free introductory call with you. And then in work like this that's so personalized, as Tony said, it's really important to make sure you have the right fit. And so let's start with the conversation and see if there's something that we can do to get you where you want to be. And that's the joy of our life. That's our passion. That's what we love to do. It's worked for us, and we love bringing that to other people. And so welcome the opportunity to do that.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been amazing. I thank you both for coming on the show today. I think what you're doing is wonderful. I think self-actualization is something, it's very unique. You don't hear a lot about it and people talking about it, but it's very powerful and it changes lives. And that's what I like about it. I like the whole process about it. I think it's very effective for people who are willing to learn about it, understand it, and incorporate it into their lives. A lot of great change can be made about it. The person can improve their lives, and even the relationships around that person can improve just by the person becoming a different person. And also, it makes people reach who they want to be. We go through life so many times, so many people, they live life for others, and they're not living the life they want to live, or they've been told their whole life what to do since the moment they were a child. This is the right thing to do, this is the wrong thing, yet do this, do that. From the moment you become a child, from the moment you go to school to the moment you grow up, your boss is telling you what to do, and then people never get to have a chance to think about who they are, what they want, what makes them happy. And then they go into relationships and they're just still trying to figure out themselves. And then they conform to the behaviors they learn from childhood all the way to the time when they have a relationship going on. And, sometimes they're never their true self, and they don't know how to be that true self. So self-actualization can be a wonderful therapy for many different reasons. And I appreciate the both of you for coming on the show, for what you do, for the changes you're making in people's lives. I think you're both wonderful, and I really look forward to maybe speaking with you guys in the future.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to show, our wonderful union together, as well as what we do to help others get to where we're at in life. So thank you so much, Stacey.
And we'll look forward to the next one, Stacey. It'd be great to chat again. Thank you.
Yes, same here. Thank you.